The history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the story of people.
People with dreams and goals.
And though living in another time
or another place,
They are a lot like us.
They lived and worked,
prayed and loved,
spent their time,
and made the biggest decisions of their lives.
to learn and do
what they felt was right.
recorded in journals, histories, photographs, and minutes.
Their lives are preserved here at the Church History Library of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
never to be forgotten.
Hey, Mary Jane, I'm gonna get you.
Hey, see you, Byron. See you, William.
See you, William. Stop it, Byron. I'm telling Mother. Take this, Sarah. You're gonna get it. Oh, Byron. Here. We're home.
So we hear.
Shoes, young lady. Sorry, Mother.
So how's school?
Brother Hall's out of bread.
He's out?
Mm-hmm.
Brother Hall, come in. Are you out of flour?
We have none.
Well, we have some in that sack. Mary Jane, would you? We were going to send it to you. My children told me you were out.
Thank you. Tried others, but couldn't get any. So I went out to the cedars and prayed the Lord. Told me, go see Joseph Millet.
You didn't bring any back. If the Lord sent you, then you don't owe me for it.
Thank you.
What is it like to be a woman today in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? We have a rich heritage of noble women living righteous lives.
Our culture mainly is we put Christ in first. We build traditions around that. We have many dances about the Lord.
I have a chance to visit the sisters. I try and be a friend to all. I have seen the blessings for those who keep their covenants with the Lord and how their lives get better.
Grandmother's grief at Mother's leaving was almost more than she could bear. Don't forget us, she kept saying. That's what Mother told me.
It seemed a tide between the present and the past.
What family history researchers do matters. They are preserving the connections. They're preserving the stories. They are helping to weave the fabric of humankind. They are helping individuals to not be forgotten. And they're helping to illuminate the importance of each individual life.
This song of my heart I wrote to my beloved great-grandmother, Emma Lyons Wayamau. I had returned to Kalaupapa on the island of Molokai to find my Emma. My early memory of Emma, my great-grandmother, was a picture that was in my mother's album. And she pointed to her and said, "That's my grandmother." And she went to Kalaupapa. She had leprosy. Kalaupapa was a place filled with beauty that hid such pain and loneliness. And now they've made the decision to create a family by the first pregnancy coming along. And they knew that by creating this family, they're going to have the sadness of the baby being taken away. It was the state law, anywhere from infancy to 1 year old, they were taken. Because if you didn't, and the child stayed with you, surely it would contract the disease you have. She knew she had no choice. You have to sacrifice your happiness for the well-being of the child. Emma goes through the experience of childbirth and giving up a child 6 times. As I speak about it, I feel sadness in my heart. I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's why I find her so interesting, because whatever she has in her, I would hope to have in me.
My grandfather Uno, he fought in the Winter War in Finland. And I have this picture of him when he was in the Finnish army. And I have his medal that he won with honor fighting.
Fighting in Finland, Uno was captured by the Soviets, but was able to escape and make his way back to Estonia. Once there, he was forced to join the occupying German army. It wasn't long before his resistance to this forced conscription led to his imprisonment in a German prisoner of war camp.
It's called the Great Highland Bagpipe, and it's not for nothing that it's called the Great Highland Bagpipe. They're big, they're unwieldy, they're heavy, and they make a lot of noise. When Jared picked up the pipes, it took him weeks before he could even blow the bag up. Oh, he'd practice several times a day, especially in the beginning, because he was so determined to master this instrument.
Some of the church members were brave enough to brook the attacker's wrath and rescue some of the sheets. Stories of their bravery have been passed down, particularly one about Mary Elizabeth Rollins and her sister Caroline.
My sister Caroline and myself were in a corner of a fence watching them. And when they spoke of the commandments, I was determined to have some of them. Sister said if I went to get any of them, she would go too, but said they will kill us. While their backs were turned, we went. And we got our arms full and were turning away when some of the mob saw us and called on us to stop. But we ran as fast as we could. 2 of them started after us. Seeing a gap in a fence, we entered into a large cornfield, laid the papers on the ground, and hid them with our persons. The corn was from 5 to 6 feet high and very thick. They hunted around considerable and came very near us, but did not find us.
As Latter-day Saints fought to maintain their lands, near civil war erupted between them and their neighbors. Their neighbors prevailed, and while seeking to negotiate peace, Joseph Smith was arrested and thrown into a prison with the ironic name of Liberty Jail. This jail, located where I am now seated, was described by Assistant Church Historian B.H. Roberts as a temple prison. Roberts coined that phrase because the anguish of imprisonment in a dark, cold dungeon led to some of Joseph Smith's most poignant revelations.
Here, for example, is the original letter in 2 parts that Joseph wrote to his wife Emma and the church at large in March 1839. In his anguish, he wrote,
O God, where art thou? And where is the pavilion that covereth thy hiding place?
You see this toothpick?
I do.
You're not looking at it.
But I see, notwithstanding.
Well, I have but to swallow this and be, for the rest of my days, persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you. I tell you, humbug.
At this the spirit raised a frightful cry, and shook its chain with such a dismal and appalling noise that Scrooge held on tight to his chair to save himself from falling in a swoon. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom, taking off the bandage round its head, as if it were too warm to wear indoors, its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast.
Discovering the stories of your immigrant ancestors can be a struggle. Fortunately, there are indexing volunteers. Indexing makes searching quicker and easier, so everyone can have the joy of finding their ancestors, and you can help.
I indexed for just 20 minutes and helped him make his family connection.
My name is Tanner Andreessen, and this is my great-grandfather Axel Andreessen, and he's in the 1940 U.S. Census. In 1912, when Grandpa Axel came from Norway to Utah, he brought with him a love for winter sports, especially the Norwegian-invented ski jumping. In 1915, he organized the first amateur ski jumping competition. It was unheard of for people to ski jump how these men were doing it, and these are the real wooden skis that Axel used. Axel held most major jumping titles between 1915 and 1927. Edgar Hill was built in 1929 and quickly became a premier ski jumping facility in the world, and many world records were broken here. This monument serves as a tribute to my great-grandfather Axel Andreessen and the other skiers who made it a reality. My heritage has definitely brought me a love for skiing. With ski jumping, that's a totally different matter. This I can do. But that, or that, I will not.
Tune in with the orchestra at Temple Square for a new season of favorites from the rich collection of classical orchestral literature.